All right, folks, another new card has been revealed. This time around, it's the Shaman Plague, and it's really, really intriguing.
Hey, buddy, watch this.
So only one card here, but if you don't have a lot of time, you can still hit the quick reviews link in the description. Otherwise, let's jump into this nifty new Plague. It is Plague of Murlocs, a 3-mana shaman spell. Transform all minions into random Murlocs. So we've got another transform effect here for shaman. You might think a bit like Hex, but instead of affecting a single minion, we're impacting the entire board, both enemy and friendly minions. So there are a handful of different ways to talk about how impactful this card might be, and I'm going to do my best to cover those in detail. So first and foremost, I do think this sometimes can just be like a 3-mana Hex, where your opponent has only one big scary minion out there, and you need to transform it because it's something that's generating a lot of value, like a Ysera, and you just can't have a Ysera, and you'd rather deal with like any other Murloc. So you just cast your Plague of Murlocs, you get one minion transformed, and you're happy because you disrupted the res pool or you took out their big threat, and that's good enough. And, maybe they get a 2-1 and it's not that scary. Maybe they get a good Murloc like Scargill that's a 4-4, but you're still happy to trade a Ysera into a Scargill, right? That's still going to be a good trade most of the time, and often Murlocs are just going to be like little 2-1s, 1-2s, etc. They're not going to be particularly scary on most occasions. The average stat line is probably like 2-2 or 2-3 maybe, if you do all of those across the board, but nonetheless, not as strong as Hex inherently, but good enough because it's a powerful transform. The other use case for a card like this is a bit like what we saw with Devolve back in the day, where your opponent has a lot of big scary stuff. Think about like Big Priest in Wild format, for instance. You slam Plague of Murlocs, you transform all of their stuff into little Murlocs. Now, the more minions they have, the riskier a play like this is going to be, because the Murlocs do theoretically synergize together, so you might give them, a couple Murloc war leaders that are buffing each other, and it could become a little bit of an oppressive sort of board, but you're still often going to end up with much lower health minions because Murlocs don't buff health on board via aura effects these days that might set up into like a Hagatha Scheme or an Earthquake for like a 2-part removal. Plus, just, if you take a bunch of stuff that was 8/8s like Mountain Giants in a, Conjurer's Calling Mage deck right now, and turn those into 2/2s on average, you're probably still going to be happy with the results. So it's going to be a positive trade in those scenarios where you do it. The only time Plague of Murlocs might be really, really bad for you on a wide board is if your opponent just has like a bunch of 1/1s, like in a token style deck. You're not going to want to turn those 1/1s into a bunch of Murlocs that synergize together. So there are some scenarios in which this backfires as a wide board answer, but you won't need this card in those matchups. You'll have other options. This is out there to help you answer the really big scary stuff. Now, alternatively, you can also use the Plague of Murlocs yourself. You can have, like, say, a deck with Thunderhead that's summoning you a lot of sparks, or Voltaic Burst could summon you some sparks, and then you could transform all those 1/1 sparks into some bigger stuff. Usually you're going to be trading up. You're going to get a couple 3/3s, maybe a 4/4, a 3/2 that draws you cards. They're going to be better than average than 1/1. So you can even use this proactively in a way to build yourself a bigger board, a bit like a bad Stormbringer, right? Stormbringer does the same sort of thing for your own board. This would do it weaker, but offer some potential synergies, maybe even in a Murloc deck where you have Murloc follow-ups. If you have, say, a Cold Light Seer sitting in your hand and you want to buff the health of all your Murlocs, you slam Plague of Murlocs and you drop that, and you've got a buffed board of Murlocs instead of some other stuff. So there are some intriguing ways to use this to swing up on your own boards too. And what that means is we have a card here that I think has utility in a variety of different ways. It's good perhaps in control decks as a Hex alternative. It's good against big scary stuff like Conjurer's Calling Mage, maybe even play it in proactive token style decks or even Murloc decks in some cases, because you could push through taunts and still get a couple Bluegill Warriors, as a Hail Mary kind of play. Transform your opponent's taunt, get 2 Bluegill Warriors and a Murloc War Leader, and boom, you're hitting face for a ton of damage, right? So there are a handful of different ways to use this. It has a lot of utility. What that means is I think this is a pretty strong card. It seems like it has a lot of different playable options. The things that will hold this back are meta challenges. If there's like a lot of token druid out there where you don't want to transform a ton of small stuff, that could be an issue. Things like zoo style decks, it's worse in those scenarios. So there might be metas here and there where this doesn't line up all that well, but alternatively, I think there are going to be metas where this is a fantastic card that offers a lot of options and becomes a really important piece of the puzzle for different sorts of shaman decks. What that means is that's a really, really strong card at the end of the day. So that wraps it up for the detailed review here on Plague of Murlocs. Now let's give this thing a score. Plague of Murlocs is a 4-star card. Yeah, there you go. Some people might actually think this is a 5-star card. I've seen some early reviews citing this thing being insanely powerful. It is very good. I think there's a high chance it'll be good. It's very likely to be a strong card, but I still don't think it'll become like that meta-defining 5-star card thing. It feels more just like something that gets included in a deck. It's not necessarily like foundational to building a deck or defining a meta. So it doesn't get the 5-star mark from me. But nonetheless, I think it's really, really good. Maybe like 4.5 stars if that was a thing that we did. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this card. Maybe we're overrating it somehow. Tell me why we've got it all wrong in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. And until next time, game on.